They did it. They did it. They listened to me. They actually did it. I'll get into what the firmware update is in just a bit. But it's pretty big, I would say, because the firmware update basically makes this into a little cine camera. I mean, kinda, but also, yes, it does. Let's get into it. So today's video will be about the game-changing firmware update. Game-changing in my opinion, guys. Don't worry if you don't think it is. Calm your knickers if you don't think it's. On top of that, I'm going to be talking about why I think Fujifilm cameras are still the best value cameras on the market against any brand. There, I said it. I laid my praise on the camera, but there was one thing that drove me up the wall about the camera, and that was the fact that you could not use the built-in ND filter in video mode. This was so frustrating because, if it, had it been enabled in the beginning, this would have made this camera so much more appealing to so many more people.
What is the point of having an ND filter if you're not going to be able to use it in video? Like, come on, guys. Get your act together.
See, I did say it. I complained about it, and then 8 months later, they released a firmware update that allows you to use the ND filter in video. Coincidence? I think not. Did every other YouTuber make the same complaint? Yes. Am I still claiming full responsibility for the firmware update? Absolutely. I'm sure most of you know what ND filters do, but in particular, for any of you who don't know, ND filters are absolutely essential for video if you're shooting out in bright daylight, in bright conditions, because you want to maintain that 180-degree shutter rule, and especially so if you want to shoot wide open so you can get that nice blurry background as I am right now. And if you maintain the 180-degree shutter rule, you're getting this nice motion blur. See how my hand, see how there's that nice motion blur there? If you don't have an ND filter, what you have to do is crank up that shutter speed, and then this motion blur will be gone, and then it'll look really janky and choppy. Or if you stop the aperture down to reduce the amount of light, you're gonna have a really in focus background. Doesn't look as nice. Can you attach an external screw-in ND filter? Of course you can, but having it built in makes life so much easier. It sounds like a little thing, but if you're shooting run and gun, if you switching between video and photo a lot, having it built in makes it so much easier, so much more convenient. Which leads me very nicely onto why the built-in ND in video mode makes this a lot more like a cinema camera, because the high-end cinema cameras, one of the main reasons why anyone would ever go up to a cinema camera is for built-in ND filters. Of course, that said, it is a fixed ND filter at -4 stops, but you're still getting a built-in ND filter. You're getting capabilities that you would normally only find in cinema cameras, which is huge because this is a tiny little photo-centric camera that costs around $1,000. Like, cinema cameras cost around $6,000, so to get capabilities that you would find in a way more expensive camera is pretty cool if you ask me. And on top of that, I think a lot of people don't realize that you can actually shoot F-log with this. So again, more professional cinema sort of quality video features in a camera that is mainly meant to be used as a photo camera. On top of that, I'm pretty sure, don't quote me on this, but I'm pretty sure that this has external recording capabilities like a Atmos Ninja V, and then you can shoot in F-log 10-bit 422, meaning you're getting better colors, better flexibility in post-production, all that. Again, professional high-end capabilities from a photo camera, essentially, a photo camera. Now, I'm not gonna say that this will be a Cinema A camera or anything like that. This could be like your B or C camera, whatever. I'm just saying that obviously you wouldn't think of using this camera as a cinema camera, but you could do it. Now I can use this to get quick B-roll all the time, anytime, and meaning that I can leave my X3 at home more often. So the next point of today's video, why do I think Fuji cameras are you know, some of the best value cameras out there. I'm not just talking about the X100V, I'm just talking about all the Fujifilm cameras in general. And it's not just because all their APS-C cameras and lenses are, you know, super affordable when compared with the full frame counterparts. And it's not just because the lenses and the bodies are super compact, unbelievably beautiful. No, it's not just because of that. The reason why I think that they are some of the best value cameras is because of they have like a tradition of constantly releasing new firmware updates that constantly improve, you know, their older cameras. Fuji aren't the type of camera manufacturers to sort of push you towards their more expensive cameras by omitting sort of key features from their more affordable camera range. So for example, the Canon RP, when it first came out, it didn't have 24 frames per second, which is insane because that's sort of like the bread and butter of cinema frame rates. Whereas with Fuji, they constantly seek to improve even their older sort of camera models. So for example, I'm filming with the X-T3. They released a autofocus firmware update that brings the autofocus in the X-T3 to be close to that of the X-T4. Or if I'm not mistaken, it is the same autofocus system as that of the X-T4, the new flagship camera. It clearly shows they're not desperate to get you to constantly upgrade. They want all their customers, past, present, new, to constantly have a better experience the longer they have their camera. Me personally, since switching over to Fuji from Canon about 2 years ago, I shot with the 5D. This was one of the main reasons why I switched over, because I don't know, I can't speak for Canon and Sony and Nikon sort of shooters, but as a Fuji shooter, I just don't feel that need, that constant cyclical urgency to constantly need to upgrade, because I know full well that the camera I have now is still an incredible camera, and it's an even better camera than when I first bought it. I'm not a Fuji ambassador, I'm not being paid or anything, I'm just Spot the Fuji fanboy. The firmware update also includes another thing. Now you can use the X100V as a webcam. Fujifilm have their own webcam app, which means that you don't need to buy like an external capture card. You can just literally just plug it in directly to your laptop. It works with Mac, it works with Windows. That is something I've been using my X-T3 for. I've just started using it as my own webcam because this past year, because of the panny, 90% of my human contact has been online. You might as well use the camera that you have at home as your webcam, because going forward, I imagine, like, I can only see people using and needing sort of online video conferencing more and more. So you might as well. Anyways guys, just to wrap things up, here are some photos that I took recently that may or may not end up in my couples project. Just wanted to include that and keep you guys up to date as I said I would. Follow me on Instagram at Zain Photo. Subscribe if you have not already. And with all that said and done, boys and girls, keep learning, keep shooting. I'll see you all in the next one. Peace.